Remember when school holidays used to feel endless? Your mum and dad were at work, you had nowhere to be, and the only real decision that you really had to make was, what shite am I watching today? With your mum and dad away, the telly was yours. So you dig through the VHS drawers, try to find something that'll tickle your fancy today. And if you couldn't find something that scratched the itch, then there was always these TV programs waiting for you. Strange towns, haunted campfires, cursed cameras, monster schools, a wee pink dog being psychologically tortured in the middle of nowhere. And we knew it wasn't proper horror, right? But it had that feeling, that cozy, spooky wee feeling where you weren't actually frightened, but you were just delighted to be surrounded by some sort of horror-esque monsters, stories, whatever. These are the kids' TV shows that slowly, quietly, and subtly nurtured us into being horror fans. And one of them taken me years and basically the invention of the internet to fucking remember. And on that note, roll the intro! Welcome to Rotten Rewind, the home of all things horror. And the home of nostalgia and recovering memories buried under 35 years of useless shit. And today we're going to be going back to the horror-flavoured kids' TV shows of the 90s. And maybe a wee bit of the 80s, late 80s maybe, right? As I said, there is nothing better than having the house to yourself during school holidays. Oh my God, can you remember that feeling? Mum and dad's at work, zero responsibility at the time, no fucking bills to pay. I've got 6 dogs. 6 dogs is a huge responsibility. My personal life is basically a dog shit picker-upper. So back then it was just sitting in front of the telly for hours, eating shite and slowly melting into the couch. And of course you would go out on your bikes sometimes, have some sleepovers, which I've spoke about before, which were excellent, right? But the day-to-day was different. And they weren't terrifying, but it was more of that comfy, spooky feeling. Rubber monsters, creepy music, strange camera angles, and just enough darkness to make them feel different from other kids' TV shows at the time. These are TV shows that I actually watched. I'll be starting with the live-action stuff, and then it will move on to the cartoon creepies. Right! Grab your biscuits, your cereal, your packets of crisps, glasses of milk, whatever else, and let's go! For each show, I'll kick off with the intro just to get that wee nostalgia feeling happening. First one up is Eerie, Indiana. Let's go. I remember watching Eerie, Indiana on Fox Kids. One of those programs that just came out of nowhere and I fucking loved it. Marshall moves to a perfect looking American town where absolutely nothing is normal. There's nice houses, clean streets, friendly neighbours, but underneath it all are conspiracies, urban legends, and adults behaving like they've been replaced. The graveyard is creepy. Graveyard. The cemetery, or if you want to be even more Scottish, then it would be the kirkyard. But aye, the stories within this were excellent, like a suburban mum sealing her kids inside containers to stop them aging. That's pretty fucked up. And it just gets into the brain differently when you were a kid. It was funny and strange, and it occasionally felt like the X-Files for kids. The original only lasted 1 season, which is mental because I feel like I saw like 1 million episodes of it. Apparently the ratings were low and there was confusion over the target audience and all that shite. And I kind of get it. It starred kids obviously, but the humour and ideas were often a lot sharper than like normal kids TV. But there was also a spin-off called Eerie, Indiana, the other dimension, but it's the original that really stuck with me. Now, I don't remember every story. I remember the feeling, the washed out, late afternoon TV feeling where your own street started suddenly look like a wee bit less trustworthy. And I had a bastard of a neighbour, like you would be playing football and if your ball went into that girder then bang, knife straight through it, like it's done. It's done, Mr. Grandison. You don't want to be going to his door, He'll take you in, you'll never be seen again. That kind of shite. And then as a kid, it just starts blaring through your head. I can still remember the conspiracies that my brain would concoct. And watching Eerie, Indiana, it was like you could relate to it almost, which just made it all the better.
This is an Eerie update.
After he died, Elvis had his mail forwarded to a house on my street. We got junk mail.
Eerie, Indiana.
Right, next up, an obvious one. Are you afraid of the dark? Now, Are You Afraid of the Dark had one of the best setups ever. A group of pals secretly meet in the woods at night, build a fire and tell each other horror stories. I'm in. Always wished that I had pals who would do that, but it never happened. And see, to be honest, even if we did, the stories would be utter shite, like absolute pish to the max. And folk would we wouldn't be able to get matches at the time or start a fire. We'd just be sitting in darkness. So a cheap shite version of the Midnight Society. But on TV, it was a real secret club. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. Then the dust hits the fire and away we go. This show also knew how to create atmosphere. Honestly, it was so good. Like the low camera angles, people standing just a wee bit like too far back. Characters are lit from underneath. All that stuff, Love it. Then we had like Dr. Vink, who you were never actually sure if he was actually helpful, evil, or just a creep enjoying to watch these kids suffer. And one of the episodes that has specifically stayed with me is the one that introduced me to Nosferatu, the tale of the Midnight Madness. A struggling cinema sees Nosferatu, the vampire, eventually climbs out of the film. And honestly, it was gross, Like, it burned itself into my brain with the teeth. The big long fingernail claw things. The baldy head. Ugh. Never seen anything like it at the time. And looking at him now, I mean, the original Count Orlok is definitely better and uglier. Whereas this version, the TV version, looks like somebody's like creepy uncle who's tried to get into a goth nightclub and got chucked to it. But as a kid, terrifying, And it introduced us to proper old school horror. You didn't have to understand silent cinema or German expressionism or any of that. You just knew this horrible vampire creature thing looked disgusting and it had escaped for the big screen and was coming to get you. What more do you want? Excellent. Excellent stuff. I think they've actually rebooted Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I've not watched any of the new ones. I might, but let me know if it's worth my time in the comments.
I've got many, many more that are far better than this one.
Next up is Goosebumps. And before Goosebumps even started, the theme and intro had already done half the work, So let's check it out. There you go, the shadow moving across the town. The dog's eyes are glowing. It's a demon dog. Papers flying everywhere. It was excellent. And honestly, I always wanted to read more of the books than I actually did, which was, I don't know, 0.3 of 1. My attention span was ridiculous for books. I couldn't stick it up. I'd be reading it for like 4 hours and be like, I have no idea what I've just read here. Anyway, the covers were class. And of course, the TV show was perfect for me. The same monsters, the same stories, no requirement to concentrate on paragraphs, and the variety across the stories, the show was excellent. We've got cursed masks, living dummies, werewolves, monsters, and garden gnomes that look like they were about to commit a hate crime. And it was rarely scary. Sometimes though, it was pretty scary, but no that often. But again, it had that cozy kids horror feeling. So a dark afternoon, which is pretty common in Scotland with how much it fucking rains. It's dark clouds outside all the time. Apart from the past like 2 weeks where I'm melting. But I sit with a wee blankie on, watching a wee rubber monster or rubber mask thing, and everything was done and wrapped up in like 25 minutes, mostly. But remember, you would get the 2-parters and you'd be waiting for ages. And see, if you missed the second part, you were fucked. You would pray that they would do a rerun of it. But you'd have to wait what felt like an eternity to find out. And it's funny watching it now. What was the episode called? Say Cheese and Die. Excellent episode, but I was like, I recognise that wee bastard. Who is that? And it was Ryan Gosling. And at the time, it wasn't actually Ryan Gosling. He was just some Canadian child being terrorised by a haunted, very cool looking Polaroid camera. And who could have told at the time, one day he would become Ken and Barbie. But for that one, camera wanted his family dead.
What did you think of Dad's song?
That was your dad? Well, what a relief. I thought the cat got stuck in the dishwasher.
Amy, that's not very nice.
Slappy.
And how about that mother of yours? She went to a store and asked the clerk if he had anything her size, and he told her to try the freight elevator.
Right, and next up we have Big Bad Beetleborgs. Big Bad Beetleborgs.
3 typical average kids inside a haunted mansion. Just by chance, free to ghost who made them Beetleborgs. Big bad Beetleborgs. Big bad Beetleborgs. Hey, look now, they're superheroes armed with superpowers. Taken from a comic strip and now they're Beetleborgs. Big bad Beetleborgs. Big bad Beetleborgs.
So basically, right, what if Power Rangers lived in a haunted house? 3 kids enter Hillhurst Mansion, meet a giant magical ghost called Flabber, wish themselves as comic book heroes, but then accidentally release villains into reality. I'm sold. I am all the way to the bollocks and back with this. And honestly, see Flabber, he was meant to be like this lovable, magical ghost Elvis creature thing, but he creeped me out to the max. I'm no joking. Awful. His big nose, his big chin, it was hideous. He looked like a very dodgy, like, birthday entertainer. Like, he would turn up and you'd be keeping a very, very close eye on him. Hideous, but stuck with me. And the mansion had a vampire, mummy, ghost, Frankenstein style guy. And outside of this, the kids were transforming into superheroes like the Power Rangers and just battering these monsters into oblivion. I didn't actually know this, but it used footage from a Japanese series. And there was such a contrast in the horror American style to these big bad Beetleborgs fighting folk like Power Rangers. It was like 2 unrelated programs having an argument. Like, inside you've got the cheesy haunted house sitcom type thing. Outside you've got laser weapons, armour and explosions. But as a kid you didn't care. Obviously no. The gadgets were cool as fuck. The costumes were class. It was pure 90s cheese. And I love it. A horror-flavoured Power Rangers with universal monsters living in the walls. What more do you need? My point exactly.
I'm cracking up!
Right, now that is the live action segment complete. And of course, the live action shows at least had to kind of pretend that normal rules applied. But once we entered the cartoons, everybody was allowed to become completely disgustioso. And first up, we have Courage, the Cowardly Dog.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Abandoned as a pup, he was found by Muriel, who lives in the middle of nowhere with her husband, Eustace Bay. But creepy stuff happens in nowhere. It's up to Courage to save his new home.
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
No, Courage the Cowardly Dog wasn't pure horror, eh? But it did have like a really deeply unpleasant feeling about it. The animation was gross, the characters were warped, and the noises, the sound, the audio, everything was fucking horrible, eh? And every so often it would throw in like a realistic face or like a bit of early CGI that just looked awful, but that kind of added to it. So Courage lived with Muriel and Eustace in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. No neighbours, no town, just endless empty land. Like, it actually creeps me out that if the multiverse is real, then this is a real existence of a dog. Like, it gave me almost a slight The Hills Have Eyes vibe to it, except instead of mutants, there was an abusive old man with no teeth shouting at a poor wee dog. I don't like that. As I said, I've got 6 dogs, I don't like that. Right, I don't like seeing that. Yo, cunt, if I was to ever slip out into the multiverse and I found you, I would kick fuck at you, eh? I'd rip your gums out and rub my bollocks for them. Oh dear. So Eustace was awful. The poor wee dog was constantly saving his life. Didn't he have to do that? And he still treated him like shit. But that was the heart of the show, eh? Like, Courage was terrified constantly, but he faced everything because he loved Muriel. Like ghosts, aliens, demons, curses, Freaky Fred wanting to shave everybody, King Ramses floating outside demanding his wee slab. And once again, it wasn't always scary, but it made you feel uncomfortable. There was something rotten underneath it. And I think that uncomfortable, gross, surreal feeling is exactly why it stuck with me and probably a lot of other people. So come on, Courage. Let's go, sir. Join the pack. Give me 7 dogs. Oh, God. Oh. Next up, we have real monsters. Now, before Monsters Inc., real monsters took the creatures under your bed and sent them to school, which immediately kinda made them relatable, eh? They weren't ancient forces of evil. They were anxious wee students graded on how terrified they could make humans. Icus looked like a frightened wee rabbit, like assembled from leftover fucking organs. Oblina could pull her insides out through her mouth, and Crumb carried his eyeballs on his hands, and he had big wiry armpit oxter hair that stank. We had bright colours, funny voices, the casual anatomical humour. It was lovely. It was great. And the best part was when the monsters were like nervous. It was like they had homework or exams. The teachers were making them nervous. That headmaster. I feel like I've seen people who look like him. Oh, he was fucking hideous. But they were worried about what they were doing and about being good enough, basically. And it made me feel like the things under our bed was just as socially broken as I am. Oh, should I keep that in? I don't know. Fuck knows.
Yes, you are making a first class fool of yourself.
Right, next up is the Beetlejuice cartoon. Now, a lot of people I speak to these days don't know a Beetlejuice cartoon existed, so let's look. The film, of course, as we all know, ends with Beetlejuice being a supernatural pervert trying to make Lydia his bride. And the cartoon says, actually, they're just best pals now. But watching this now as an adult, you kind of see things where you're like, that's actually a wee bit weird. Which, again, is fine for me, but society is far too fucking soft now. Save that for another time. So he's still filthy, irritating, inappropriate as fuck. But now he's almost like a more disgusting imaginary friend. And the series started in 1989 with Tim Burton as an executive producer, and it carried the film's world into a much more colourful version of the Netherworld. And that world really does have like real attraction. Like furniture had teeth, buildings bent in directions they just never should have. Everything was alive and everything was disgusting. And being the 90s, of course, you had the armpit fart jokes everywhere. It was typical late 80s, early 90s humour. Gross noises, bad puns, and Beetlejuice transforming into these like horrible visual gags. Whatever the writers had thought of when they fucking woke up that morning. But it gave us that world. It made ghosts, monsters, death feel colourful and fun rather than, like, I don't know, threatening, spooky without making you want to, like, sleep with a light on, Or is that just me?
Now you know why I'm the brains of the outfit.
Oh, that's rich, coming from a big nobody like you.
Airhead.
Nobody. Airhead, nobody, airhead, nobody, nobody, airhead.
And finally, we have the deepest cut on this list for me. Gravedale High.
Bells are ringing. Now it's time to begin. It's about our school that we're singing, where the misfits get in.
You can call, you can slip and slide, but don't miss my great surprise.
please take a seat. Yeah, we're dying to meet ya. Go with the spirit and chillingly cheer it from Gravedale.
Now, for years I had remembered fragments scattered across my brain of this fucking TV show. A school full of monsters, one human teacher, and loads of monstrous students, vampires, mummies, the creature for the Black Lagoon, but I could never remember the name. Nobody I asked knew what the fuck I was talking about, so it just sat in my brain like a fucking corrupt hard drive. But I was thinking, like, maybe I just imagined it. But then the internet came to fruition, so I searched and I searched and I searched like fuck, trying to use every keyword. I didn't even care what a keyword was at the time. I was just trying to explain what was in my brain, and eventually I got it. Gravedale High. Rick Moranis voiced the human teacher working at a school filled with teenage versions of classic Hollywood monsters. And of course it is aggressively late 80s, early 90s with fat jokes, ugly jokes, food fights, characters insulting each other in ways that would probably now result in like 12 articles of a fucking apology for the broadcaster. And aye, food fights were everywhere in the 90s as well. Do you mind that? Food fight! Like, what for? Why are you wasting food like that? That food looks fucking delicious. What you doing that for? So aye, was Gravedale High a masterpiece? I think so. Fucking definitely. Go and watch it if you've not, because finding it again felt like recovering a missing piece of my childhood. So aye, if you've not watched Gravedale High and this type of thing does actually really interest you, go and watch it. Definitely, you will not be disappointed.
Hey, somebody lose a book? Kinda looks like a diary.
Vinny Stoker, read that and you're dead.
I can live with that.
There we go. The kids shows that quietly supplemented our brains to enjoy horror. Some were pretty fucking creepy, Some were just monster comedies, but it was still excellent. It's got that 90s flair on them, which I love. But they all had that comfy, spooky feeling that I was talking about. The theme tunes, the rubber creatures, the makeup was just excellent. And when you rewatch them now, they've got that old fuzz about them. Like you're watching something on VHS, but you know that's just how things looked back then. The programs you watched when the entire day belonged to you. And without these programs, would we have became the horror-loving bastards for hell that we are now? I mean, probably, aye. As I say, it was a supplement, right? So anyway, let me know what I've missed. Let me know if there's anything out there that you have watched specifically. I know there's a lot more that I didn't watch, but I want to hear the best of the best so I can go through and fucking watch them. So which shows stuck with you? Which episode properly got under your skin? And did anybody else out there spend years trying to remember and prove that Gravedale High actually existed? Let me know in the comments. And thank yous all very, very much for watching. It is super appreciated. Of course, you are all top horror shaggers. And I'll catch yous later.